Oh, thank you, Sylvia, for that beautiful introduction. I am going to share the preliminary results of my field practicum, which is titled Assessing the Contribution of Women to Artisanal to Blue Foods Production in Western Indian Ocean, but my focus will be on artisanal fish fisheries on the Kenyan coast. And Dr. Renata is the chair of my committee, and I also have Dr. Nelly Isigi as a member of my committee. Blue foods include fish, algae, invertebrates, and aquatic plants that are extracted from both freshwater and marine ecosystems, and they contribute to the diets and provide for livelihoods of many people in Kenya, especially the riparian communities. And billfish fisheries contribute to these foods, especially through artisanal fisheries, because apart from being targeted for recreational purposes and industrial purposes, they are also sought after by artisanal fishers. And artisanal fishers, also called small-scale fishers, include those fishers that have smaller vessels and use traditional methods of fishing. Small-scale fisheries represents about 80% of the fishing fleets along the Kenyan coast and employ about 13,000 fishers. So women comprise almost half of the workforce in small-scale fisheries, and they majorly participate in the roles of sales and trade. Despite how they contribute to the existence of these foods, their roles have been misunderstood. And currently, there is limited knowledge about how women contribute to blue foods production, especially in bellfish fisheries as a source of food along the Kenyan coast and in the Western Indian Ocean. And that brings me to my practicum, which is contributing to these gaps. And the general objective of my research is the general aim is to enhance the understanding of how these women contribute to these foods. I was guided by 3 specific objectives, including characterization of the women involved in billfish fisheries, mapping of female-dominated areas in billfish fisheries in Kilifi County, and identification of the challenges and opportunities of women in opportunities for women in artisanal billfish fisheries. So Kilifi County is one of the coastal regions that provide that are known to be hotspots of billfish fisheries on the Kenyan coast, and that's why I went there. And the coastline of Kilifi is around 265 kilometers, which is almost half of the total coastline of Kenya. So that's big. It has an area of 12,540 square kilometers, and the whole land coverage of Kenya is area coverage of Kenya is 580,367 square kilometers. The population of Kilifi County is about 1.5 million, and that is as of 2019 population census, when the population of Kenya was also about 48 million. Economic activities in Kilifi include agriculture, which is also inclusive of fisheries, tourism, and trade. My host institution is the Kenya Marine Fisheries and Research Institute, and my supervisor was Dr. Nina, she's in the middle, And the rest are the students that I found in Kemfree who collaborated with me and supported with me. I went to the field with some of them. That is Sarah and that is Maureen and that is Mona. They are all students who conduct research and are attached in Kemfree. Kemfree was established in 1979 and it is meant to conduct research about fisheries and marine sciences and all other endeavors related to blue economy. The headquarters is in Mombasa, Kenya, and it partners with various institutions, both in NGOs and others from the government to conduct research while engaging the local communities. For my methods in identification of participants, so I had two groups of participants, one of experts, which include fisheries and chemistry staff, not fisheries, I mean scientists and other people from Kemfree who have knowledge about fisheries. And then my second group was fishers and traders who are directly involved in fisheries activity. So for the fishers and traders, I used snowballing because it was hard to tell who is really involved in big fish fisheries, so I had to find someone to refer me to another one. And then for the experts, I used purposive sampling, where there was already a list of the scientists and other people involved in research to do with fisheries. And so I just emailed them and then I conducted surveys with them. For data collection, I used semi-structured interviews for the fishers and traders, and then survey for the experts. I also conducted group discussions with the fishers and traders, and then I integrated ethnographic observation and appreciative inquiry throughout the process. For my analysis, which is what I'm doing now, I am conducting content analysis and thematic analysis for qualitative data and descriptive statistics for the quantitative data. I was able to conduct 75 interviews with fishers and traders, and then 25 surveys with research scientists, government officials, technical observers, and partners from NGOs and university institutions, and 17 group discussions. Some of the challenges that I encountered was communicating that I was going to conduct research on women in a field or an activity where there was a lot of men, so most of them were not cooperative sometimes, or sometimes they will like agree, but after I really have to convince, I've convinced them. And then the response amongst the experts was, I was not anticipating 25 responses because I sent out over 100 invitations and I got 25 responses, and that was after I had sent multiple reminders. And then for the fishers and traders, when I converted the questions from English to Swahili, sometimes they lost their meaning and I had to explain myself several times. It gave me some difficulty. And these are my partial analysis. My first objective, which was the characterization of the women involved in billfish fisheries. So for the experts, 16% of them said that they were not aware of any women involved in billfish fisheries, while 84% say that they are aware of women participating in billfish fisheries. And for the fishers and traders, I asked them if their roles. So it was not possible to find someone that was exclusively involved in billfish fisheries. So these were just people that were involved in fisheries, and then sometimes they also involved in billfish fisheries because the availability of the billfish also depends on the season. And 65% of them admitted that they were involved in. Oh no, I mean for the sample 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 number of people that admitted to be participating in billfish fisheries, 65 were men and 35 were women. So there's more men than women involved in billfish fisheries. And then I asked them what factors determine their involvement in billfish fisheries, and the three main factors include affordability of billfish, availability and season, and equipment. So for the affordability of billfish, that is women. And then availability on season, that is men. And then for the equipment, again, that is men. And that tells us how these people are also involved, because for the women, they sell fish. So if they're able to afford or not, it's a big deal. But for the men, since most of them are fishers, they are mostly, they care about the availability, and then they afford the availability of the availability of the fish, and also the ability to have equipment for catching the fish. And then for fishers and traders, so these are all the participants from the 75 people interviewed. So the 69 gave the information about their education. And most of them, very few of them have been to college, and a big number of them have no education. And looking at those that have education, so few years of primary education, there's more women than men. For those who completed primary education, there is more women than men again. And then getting to secondary school, more men than women completed. And then a few years of secondary school. And then for the completion of secondary education, there is more men than women. So it sort of varies, but just generally, all of these people involved in fisheries, they have low education levels. And to my second objectives, I wanted to know which areas do these women come from, the ones that are involved in fisheries, in billfish fisheries. And for the experts, I don't know if this will work. Well, it's not working. Well, this is Watamu, so a bigger percentage of people say that these women are in Watamu, and then this is Kilifi, and this is Ngomeni, which is, when I compare it with how, because I went to these areas, I think it's sort of true, but not really. I have my own perception. And so I asked them which areas they operate from for those sample participants. And so we have, so generally there's more men than women, because men is low. And there's a lot of them in Kilifi, the people involved in billfish fisheries, both men and women. And then there is also a good number in Malindi and Gomeni, which is, comparing to the other data from the experts, it is sort of consistent, but the women predominate in Kilifi, according to the second group of participants. And then for the challenges and opportunities in billfish fisheries, so I asked them why they do not want to sell billfish, or why they're not involved in billfish fisheries. And so for the women, so orange is women. So the women, a number of them said they were not interested. They're used to selling small fish. There's too much labor time, unavailability and lack of access to billfish. There's low profit. And then these are men. They lack fishing equipment. And then for the market, there's both men and women, but more women than men are concerned about the market. And then for this bait, it's just women who say billfish is expensive. And then for the opportunities, so I asked them, what opportunities do you think exist for men in billfish fisheries and then for women in billfish fisheries? And so there's a lot of men saying that men can be fishers, but also these women, a lot of women also agree that men can be fishers. And then, so these are opportunities for men. So men and women both agree that men can be fishers. And then for the traders, well, there's really low perception of men seeing themselves as traders, but women think that men can also trade fish. And we also have an aspect of transportation here. And then for the opportunities of women, with that. Okay, thank you.
So sorry.
Yeah. So now we have additional roles here. They can cook in the tents, they can market the fish, and they can process fish, which did not come up when I asked about the opportunities for men, but a bigger percentage of the people think that women can be traders. And okay, that's a brief part of my analysis. And then I just wanted to show how what goes on the beach. And the first photo is of men just making nets, and there is no woman. And here the fish have been landed, and this is a fisher. This is a fisher, and the rest are women, and they're getting this fish from the fishers to go sell. And then this is transportation. These are artisanal fishers, so they have low, like smaller equipment, so they mostly use motorbikes or small vehicles for transportation or even walk. And that is a woman cleaning fish, and then a woman again processing fish, and then up to this point is where we find a man. Some men, they don't want to do these other activities, but when it comes to drain fish, they see that is what that they can do that because it requires less hard work, and also it's not so dirty. I think the other work is dirty. And also when you dry fish, it loses weight, but it's also more expensive. So it depends on how you decide as a seller. But a lot of women sell fried fish and raw fish, and that is also because it's also related with the affordability to preserve this fish, because then you need a fridge to preserve fresh fish. Okay, so based on the preliminary results, the engagement of individuals in other fisheries can influence their role in artisanal fish fisheries. You cannot be, if you want to be engaged in billfish fisheries, let's say you want to sell billfish fisheries, then it has a really just it is related to how you have been participating in these other fisheries, maybe the small fish, the like different species of fish. And that's because it is a transaction between the fishers and the traders. So there's a high chance you can sell billfish if you've been selling this other fish, because the fisherman will be bringing the fish that they catch from the ocean, And so if you tell them maybe you're interested in buying billfish, then they sell you the billfish. But just like acting as a different role is a little bit difficult. And the way you participate in these roles influences your challenges. So the challenges that the fishers face are not the same challenges that the traders face. Again, there's other challenges that they both share, like when we have an availability of billfish fisheries because we are in the low season, so everyone's facing that. Yeah. Then the cooperation between men and women in the fishing industry promotes their participation in artisanal billfish fisheries. And this is because I noticed that there was a lot of women participating in billfish fisheries in Kilifi County. No, not Kilifi County, Kilifi Central. And when I asked and when I wanted to learn more about, I found that there's a lot of groups, a lot of cooperation, a lot of good relationship between the men and women in these fisheries. And so there's potential for increased women's involvement in small-scale billfish fisheries along the Kenyan coast. For the next steps, I want to conclude the examination of data collected from experts, surveys, and group discussions with fishers and traders, contrast and synthesize the data obtained from the surveys, group interviews, and surveys, group discussions and interviews. And also, I would like to explore other techniques for my analysis, like in vivo, and then I will compile the final findings and conclusions. And thus, I would like to thank my committee, Dr. Renata and Nelly Sigi, for advising me and supporting me, and also the MGP faculty, Dr. Angie and Glenn. Dr. Nina Wabiji, who was my supervisor during my practicum in Kenya, and Sarah Ater and Maureen Okeri, who were the students that went with me to the field, and all the research participants, including the research scientists, fishers, traders, and not forgetting the TCD, Master of Sustainable Development Practice, Center of African Studies, and College of Liberal Arts and Science for funding my practicum. And